They're only now catching up to what you predicted years ago. Every implausible forecast, every so-called coincidence leads them to the realization that it was never chance. You were not guessing. You were calculating while others were second-guessing and distracted by surface noise. You could see the whole pattern unfolding before it began. Now the message is coming in. How did you know? What made you so confident in connecting the connections? But you designed the plan. You were never intended to fit in with the crowd. How you move and anticipate. What happens next? It is not simply instinct. It's precise. They may strive to keep up, but let us be honest. They are always a step behind when they believe they have caught on. You are already rewriting the game. That is the energy. That is the power. This is why they can't capture you. Precision means more than simply accuracy. It's about the beat of inevitability. Your movements, actions, and decisions are not random. It is calculated beyond their understanding. It disturbs them, not because they see it, but because they experience it. Others marvel how you always seem to be in the right place at the right time, knowing things others don't. And that question has been on their thoughts for longer than they would like to acknowledge. The change is evident today. Those who have been sleeping may feel it, but they cannot identify it. Some take a step back in trepidation, but their worry does not bother you. Doubt has never crossed your path. You were never supposed to slip into the background. The unknown does not scare you. It surrenders, revealing the truth. Others have spent their whole lives failing to comprehend. Patterns were never completely concealed. They were only waiting for the appropriate intellect to perceive them. What others saw as chaos is really a sequence that reveals itself at the precise time. You don't look for alignments. It finds you. They may ignore, dismiss, or refuse to admit it, but their instincts fail them. There's something about you that draws attention without asking. Power is not conferred. It has been realized. And those who grasp this do not hesitate, but others disintegrate under doubt. You stay unaffected. The forces that feed on fear and weakness have no place in your presence. They thrive on reluctance, but you have nothing to contribute. You never wait for permission. The authority they are attempting to achieve has already settled into your being. Truth bends before you, showing itself before deceit may arise. You do not engage in fight because there is no contest, just unwavering certainty. Inevitable. The world itself adjusts to accommodate people who refuse to give. Strength doesn't negotiate. It asserts itself. It does not stop to inquire. It moves with unshakable intention. You don't need to persuade somebody of what is already true. The weight of your presence alone alters the equilibrium, making resistance pointless. What you bring is not a whisper, but a power that does not seek acknowledgement. The mood of a place changes the instant you enter it. It's not about what you say. It is about how people feel before they speak. Some lean in, pulled to something they can't identify. Others take a step back, troubled by an energy they don't understand. There is no need to state what is already obvious. It resonates via movement, quiet, and an indisputable sense of being. Some people may misinterpret this for arrogance. Others will try to excuse it as happenstance. However, those who know the truth say no. Understand that strength does not hesitate, does not explain, and, most importantly, does not lose. There is a knowledge that transcends reasoning, an awareness that disturbs those who cross your path. It isn't just instinct. It is a power beyond their comprehension. They weigh their words and shape their emotions, thinking they can hide their genuine selves. But nothing escapes you. Silence has no emptiness. It vibrates with reluctance, hidden agendas, and unsaid concerns. They wear their falsehood like armor, unknowing that it is paper-thin and will disintegrate beneath the weight of your vision. Their breath betrays them before they can open their mouths. A hushed confession, long before a falsehood is said. A glimpse is all it takes in an instant to unravel reality. There is nothing mysterious under your sight, only precision, a keen clarity of vision across the layers. Others fail to notice. They cling to diversions, assuming that the surface is all that is. However, you smoothly transcend past it. Every tug causes a rhythmic change. Every deliberate pause conveys more than uttered words can. Fear is never loud. It speaks in the way they carry themselves, the weight of what they chose to keep unsaid. There is no need to seek permission to comprehend. The truth is never really buried. It is only waiting to be noticed. It pulls people in with its peaceful certainty, an energy that gently shatters illusions. It is not learned, nor is it something silent. It is there in every action and thought. There is no need to discuss what is already known. They depend on obscurity and the blindness of those who refuse to delve further. However, such benefit does not present here. Disguises disappear in your presence. Their uncertainty motivates them. However, it diminishes in the presence of absolute knowledge. There is no escape from half-truths. There is no refuge in misinformation. The veil they hide behind isn't thick enough to conceal what is already obvious. Others are still grasping the rules. You've already made your next step. The hidden mechanics of cause and consequence play out in front of you, presenting a landscape of predetermined choices. They pause, ignorant that the moment has already gone and the conclusion has been determined before they could act. The question of how persists in their thoughts, but their incredulity does not change the outcome. The route has always been obvious to those who know where to look. And once the pattern is revealed, nothing can be undone. You're not here by chance. If you feel the pull yet know deep down that you have been selected, now is your time. Click the super thank you button and contribute $50 or more to get deeper insights, unique information, and a path that fits with your divine destiny. This is not only a gift. It's a proclamation, a step toward being the person you were intended to be. Take the call, walk with us, and totally embrace your destiny. Your adventure starts now. What people see as discrete bits of time are already knit together for you. The threads of the past, present, and future do not exist in isolation. They are linked and move as one. They confuse ambiguity for reality. Failing to see that uncertainty is only an illusion for those who refuse to perceive it. Hesitation is futile in this situation. The universe bends under the weight of a decision. There's no need for force. There's no need for dishonesty. Only the unwavering confidence that when clarity and strength come together, opposition has no chance. The shadows that formerly flourished in secrecy now have nothing to claim. No weapon made against you will flourish. Isaiah 5417. A storm never challenges its own strength. A river does not hesitate to seek permission before cutting its course through stone. The route had been established long before they were aware of the road ahead of them. Some will stand in the rain, believing that they can keep back the torrent, while others will stare at the sky, pretending that clouds aren't accumulating. But when the time comes, when the change fully takes hold, they will be unable to deny it. They'll call it abrupt and unexpected. But you saw it before the first drop dropped. Conflict is not what decides the result. It is inevitable. Those who refuse to go with the tide will be carried away. Those who cling to the past, who confuse comfort with security, will be the first to collapse. When the earth shakes underneath them, they see your conviction as arrogance. Your vision for something abnormal is because they have spent their lives worshiping the transitory, believing that what they can see is all there is. But this is the reality. The truth will not wait for their acceptance. It does not soften itself. To be pleasant, do not try to fit into their restricted comprehension. They withdraw uneasily, as if pulling away can alter the path of events already in motion. They can feel it, even if they don't know what it is. The air is different. The weight of potential is crushing upon them. Their fear is not of the unknown. It's the fact that you seem to stroll through it as if it were always home. They watch as previously closed doors open for you. They attempt to explain it away. Try to discover the trick. However, there is none. What people call luck is really alignment. What others call mystery is just your clarity. Their skepticism cannot keep up with them as they go faster. Every effort to halt what has already started just confirms its arrival. They murmur about things they don't grasp, reiterating the same question. How? How come you always seem to know? How do you proceed without hesitation? While they question each step, they won't say it out, but deep inside they know the answer. They've always known since anything is picked without hesitation. It does not seek permission to be. It does not succumb to doubt, and neither do you. Perception is not about identifying defects. It is about being solid in the face of reality. Those who have spent their whole lives avoiding themselves, refusing to see their own mirror without distortion, are the most troubled. There is no need for physical force or conflict. They unraveled on their own. They are unable to accept reality. Strength does not declare itself. It does not need acknowledgement. It just exists. And just being alive is enough to change the atmosphere, to change the momentum of all it touches. Resistance does not negate what is obvious. Denial is nothing more than a cover for the reality, which collapses the minute it is addressed. Those who are constrained by their own unbelief will look for answers that fit inside their parameters. However, the essence of clarity is independent of other people's knowledge. It does not solicit acceptance. It also doesn't need validation. It just travels freely beyond the limited confines that people place on themselves. There is no need to comply to expectations, and there is no cause to shrink into a place that is too little to hold anything large. Attempts to constrain what refuses to be confined will always fail, because some people cannot climb to the level of what they do not understand. They will strive to draw it down to their level. However, disagreement is not an option. The route does not allow for regression. Those who pause are the only ones who do not stop moving ahead. Reality does not form you. You are responsible for shaping reality. The seemingly random moments are everything but the alignment of events. There was no luck or accident. The invisible river that flows through reality is not chaotic. Only those who know how to look may identify this design. The fabric of events is not woven randomly. It has a rhythm that most people fail to notice. The mind relies on probability to escape the pain of unexplainable evil. However, the same impossible alignments recur again. Skeptics ignore, justify, and try to bury it under rationality. However, no amount of denial will stop what is happening. What others see as coincidence is nothing more than a structure concealed in plain sight. A language not spoken but felt, whispering only to those who are willing to listen. For we walk by faith and not by sight. 2 Corinthians 57a. A farmer does not pull up his crops to see whether the roots are flourishing. He does not stand over the earth, seeking evidence that life exists under the surface. He plants, waters, and trusts. And when the season changes and the first green leaf emerges from the ground, he is not astonished. He anticipated it. This is how certainty works. Not by waiting for proof, but by knowing deep down that what is destined to rise cannot remain buried indefinitely. Understanding is not necessary for anything to be genuine. It's never been. There are individuals who will avoid the truth just because they cannot understand it. They were certain that if they couldn't hold it, it didn't exist. Even while they reject it, ridicule, and ignore it, something deep inside them knows otherwise. Their own incredulity starts to break under its own weight, buckling under the strain they refuse to acknowledge. The fiercest doubters aren't as certain as they claim to be. Their opposition is based on fear, not confidence. They effectively conceal it beneath reasoning, cynicism, and the armor of false indifference. But pay careful attention. I saw how their breath caught when something incomprehensible happened. Watch how people get uncomfortable when faced with something beyond their control. They convince themselves there is nothing beyond what they can measure. However, they are hesitant in the face of something they cannot describe. Their denial does not represent strength. It is their last desperate effort to cling to a world that no longer suits them. But it's the truth. Truth does not need them to agree. It does not need validation. It does not shrink to fit inside the narrow knowledge. It moves just as it always has. Unapologetic, undeniable, relentless. It does not await their permission. It doesn't have to be seen to be genuine. It just is. Those who are not supposed to view it will never do so. It is not concealed. Rather, their eyes are closed. Not because it is quiet, but because people are unwilling to listen. But you are not like other people. You've always been unusual. You don't need explanations. You already know. You've gone through doors before others even noticed there were barriers. You could feel the change before they realized the earth underneath them was shifting. They call it a coincidence. Call it luck. Anything other than what it actually is. But deep inside, they know. And as the season changes and the first hints of what you predicted occur, people will be in wonder. They'll call it sudden. They'll call it destiny. But you will just say it's time. What others fumbled upon, you confidently pursue. They call it luck, chance, or destiny. However, their words have little significance when the unseen coincides with each step. It doesn't happen by accident. It is attracted to people who recognize it. Those without direction mistake accuracy for unpredictability. They fight its draw, call it an illusion. However, they cannot ignore its existence. When the world continues to form itself in ways that they refuse to understand, what others hear as echoes, you view as clarity. Reality does not occur to you. It passes through you. Not everyone is designed to have this insight. The weight of knowledge is not always bestowed. It has the potential to fracture those who are not prepared, require judgment, and challenge restraint. It is not only about seeing through illusions, but also about knowing when to disclose and when to keep quiet. Some people are not prepared for the thoughts you bring, unprepared for what emerges when the curtain is removed. Power cannot be defined just by exposure. It is an understanding when to allow the truth to emerge on its own. The universe is always dancing between chaos and order, and being on that border is neither passive nor simple. Illusions are not dispelled by force, but by mere existence. Those that live on deceit will always detect it first, feeling the weight of something they can't hide from. They aim to move undetected, influence, and distort perception to their advantage. However, their attempts fail in the face of unwavering conviction. Knowing when to act and when to wait is what distinguishes actual control. Too quickly, mayhem prevails. Too late, the equilibrium is gone. Power, when used with purpose, does not need recognition. It just alters the trajectory of what was previously unavoidable. The goal is not supremacy, but rather preservation. Strength is assessed in unseen decisions rather than visible shows of power. The conflicts are fought before they begin. Many will never understand the expense of preserving equilibrium. The weight of invisible forces was measured in quiet, and that is how it should be. The goal isn't to be understood or celebrated, but to guarantee that what must survive does. The hidden influence, silent energy, and steady. In a changing world, there is no hesitation or constraint, just onward mobility. The moment beckons, and doubt has no place in it. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness does not conquer it. John 1 verse 5. A lighthouse does not pursue the lost. It stands solid, shining, unaffected by the storm. It does not ask the waves to arrive or the fog to lift. It just glows, piercing through the uncertainty, a signal for those with eyes to see. Some will look away and reject what is in front of them, but the light does not fluctuate to accommodate their skepticism. It is comforting to know that when the time comes, those who search will find their path, whether in the tangible or in the unseen. You walk freely across what others refer to as structure, but you understand it as frail scaffolding held together by belief rather than fact. They confuse their pain with disobedience. They believe that if they fight long enough, reality will alter itself to meet their worldview. However, truth does not alter to accommodate doubt. It does not adapt to keep them comfy. They constructed their walls, assuming they were impenetrable. However, barriers fall when forced by someone larger. They are afraid of what your presence reveals, not of you. The flaws in their carefully constructed reality, the constraints they can no longer ignore. You do not need to persuade them. The light doesn't dispute with the darkness. It just glows. And when the time comes, even those who vowed they'd never see would be forced to open their eyes. The buildings individuals construct to contain their fears are nothing more than illusions of control. The distinction between known and unknown, acceptable and prohibited, is a fabrication that has no influence over you. They say that all of the doors are locked. Every distinction they impose is meaningless in your wake. What disturbs them is not resistance, but inevitability, the silent, unwavering power that demolishes lies without effort. They quiver not because you are threatening them, but because they are forced to face something they have ignored for far too long. Where others see disarray, you see undiluted truth, molded and untamed. Nothing can be done to stop what has already begun. The power that propels you ahead is not the result of luck or favor. It is certainty. Others struggle under the weight of their own indecision. You move with unwavering confidence. It's not about preserving the delicate equilibrium to which they desperately cling. It is about eradicating everything that wants to pervert it. The same strength that unsettles them also protects them. However, they will never acknowledge it. The game was decided before they realized they were playing. It was never a struggle. There was always a reckoning. Words are not just said. They shape the fundamental structure of reality. Those who depend on empty rhetoric confuse sound for substance, failing to recognize that genuine authority is born not in volume but in weight. What you're saying is not persuasive. It is a statement. It does not seek agreement. It also remains unwavering in the face of opposition. It is not a debatable viewpoint. It is a force that pervades everything of reality. The change is felt by those who listen. Even if they can't articulate it, what you create does not originate only from yourself. It is pulled from depths that they will never reach. What exists outside their grasp will always arouse terror. Understanding isn't required for anything to be genuine. However, they challenge everything that does not fit inside their restrictive paradigm. They mistake insight for arrogance and awareness for disobedience. However, clearance was never necessary. The weight of knowledge does not ease for those who are not ready to absorb it. Once said, the truth cannot be undone, nor can delusions. Once broken, it cannot be rebuilt. What remains is unshakable. Unbound and unmistakable delusions cannot withstand what is undeniable. All of the illusory structures they depend on fall when truth is revealed, putting them at a crossroads. Either they accept what has always been, or they shrink into denial. Words are not just sounds. They bear weight, affecting the fundamental fabric of what they previously thought was unshakable. They do not challenge you in your search of truth. They resist out of dread. Attempts to distort meaning into untruth fail in your presence, not because of conflict, but because it is just impossible to maintain a lie. When faced with certainty, they push. They test. They look for flaws that don't exist. When confronted with an unshakable base, resistance becomes fruitless. Every attempt to demolish what is solid is a useless endeavor that ends before it starts. They do not realize that the forces at work are beyond their understanding. However, what protects remains unwavering in the face of uncertainty. Their tactics disintegrate before they can create challenges, falling flat in the face of something immovable. It is not choice that keeps them at bay. It is inevitable. Every attempt they make to influence the result merely underscores the hopelessness of their attempts. What was intended to shatter instead solidifies, and each effort to weaken only strengthens determination. Their errors derive from a misunderstanding of strength, which they believe is something to be overcome, quantified, and predicted. They mistake stillness for hesitancy, patience for uncertainty, and fail to perceive the calm assurance that underpins every whispered movement. They move on, certain that they have complete control over the result. They are unaware that the shift has occurred, that their own acts have put in motion a force they cannot stop. There is no need for debate when the conclusion has already been written. The change is slight, and those two are too arrogant to realize it. It is too late for them to comprehend. What was once theirs to keep fades. It slipped past their grip like it was never intended to be theirs. The weight of their failure lies not in what they lost, but in the awareness that they never had control in the first place. They converse in whispers, afraid to mention who could listen. What they face is neither an impediment nor an opponent. It is an unchangeable force. one who does not submit to their will. Protection is not something to seek when it is already there. The responses of others around you are not coincidental. They are the last echoes of a structure crumbling. Their refusal, their denial, their efforts to regain supremacy. These are not signals of strength, but rather despair. The world they formerly controlled no longer exists. The rules they cling to no longer had relevance. The previous limitations are vanished, and no amount of effort can reinstate them. What was formerly hidden is now evident, and what was unavoidable is now occurring. There is no opposition, just confirmation. Every effort to hold you back is indication that the change has already begun. What was previously seen as an unstoppable force is now receding, powerless in the face of something it cannot influence. The illusion has cracked. The weight of falsehood has lifted, and in the heart of it all, you remain undisturbed, unshaken, and completely aware. Every buried truth, every wordless understanding, every sleepless night spent grappling with what you knew but couldn't put a name to has led to here. Your presence sends unmistakable echoes outward, changing the very fabric of what was previously thought to be irreversible. They never expected your voice to go this far. What was formerly overlooked and whispered in hushed corners has now grown beyond restraint. The buildings they construct quiver not because they are under assault, but because their foundation was never built to resist reality. The time to wait is gone. There is no escape. Without hesitation, only momentum. What you present does not require recognition. It forces itself. The route doesn't open. It's carved, and each word represents a decision. The universe itself moves not by force, but by the sheer weight of truth. Moving ahead,